Welcome to today's episode of Clear IQ Insights. My name is David Hebert, Managing Director within Clear IQ. Today we want to touch on a topic that's important to every organization. It's about making better decisions. And how we support doing this is a focus on making data-driven decisions. And why do we want to be able to make data-driven, fact-based decisions? Number one is we want to increase the probability of making the right decision. We want to be able to make decisions faster and be more agile as an organization. And number three, we want to be able to monitor the results of those decisions and then be able to course correct based on what the outcomes are. We call this capability data-driven decision models. It's important that you realize that not one capability or one decision model is going to solve all problems. We got to first understand what's the scope of the questions or the decisions that we're trying to support, and then making sure that we're focused on the right sets of data to be able to support that decision-making process. That data may include master data, may include customers, products, suppliers. It also may include it's going to include transactions. It might include quotations. It might include orders. It might include shipments. We need to make sure we understand where in the cycle of the transactional life cycle do we need to be able to source that information from. So it's important to make sure we understand what that scope is. Also, don't try to solve all of the problems at once. Just start in an area and then focus there, and then make sure we can solve for it. And then you kind of build upon it once you start mastering the capabilities. The other important piece is on the inputs is the frequency of that input. Is this something that you need real-time data for? If you're looking at abandoned carts and you're doing analysis, trying decisions, maybe you need to be able to understand more of a real-time. If you're looking at orders, sales transactions, shipments, maybe that's something you want to do a week-to-week analysis, and weekly is just fine to be able to do your analysis. Then you can roll up from a week to a month to a quarter forward. So understand the data that you want to start with to be able to help that decision-making process. Also understand the frequency requirements. So when we move on from inputs and we move to processes, it's important in processes to how do we store and manage and secure that data in a repository that we can use it for multiple purposes in the future. We may be supporting one decision-making process today, but over time, what happens is one question leads to another question, leads to another question. So it's kind of like peeling back the onion. So it's important to have that data in a secure place that can be leveraged going forward. We also want to make sure calendar capability. It's important to have the flexibility as we think about maybe it's daily transactions to weekly transactions to monthly to quarterly. This rolling up data to be able to look at it from a time horizon. And also what we do is we look at it from a baselining of data to compare to comparative data. So to be able to do that, we do that through multiple calendar capabilities so you can have the flexibility to be able to establish baselines and comparisons on an active basis. Part of that is our history within benchmarking and understanding that you need to be able to have that baseline to be able to compare performance to. Metric library. So one of the things that can't be underestimated is making sure that you have an in-depth and well-structured named metric library. It's important to make sure you have accuracy, consistency of measures. You don't want to recreate a new set of measures every time you're doing analysis. So you want to be able to build out those measures so that multiple people can use them in a consistent manner, and you're also getting the same answers. We want to make sure we automate that data flow. If we determine the frequencies on a weekly basis, we want to be able to automate that and have that available for immediate analysis once that new time period comes into the data. So looking at how do you integrate is going to be important. And then obviously just making sure that you have, from a security standpoint, this is sensitive data, financial performance data, put many times. If you got personal information, that's another story, but you got to make sure that it's secured for your analysis, and you're managing the access to that data to the right parties. Finally, outputs. One thing we'll say here is there's a time and a place for dashboards, and there's absolutely a time and a place as you look at it supporting the decision-making process. It's going to be more on the monitoring component of performance, where you can get a consistent set of measures, consistent set of visualizations on how you monitor going forward and potentially course correct. However, when you're doing the analysis, you want to be able to have direct access to the data, direct access to the metric library, be able to quickly do, let's say, ad hoc analysis. And like we said, many times, one question will lead to many other questions, and you want to be able to peel back the onion in a very active, agile type approach. So don't underestimate the need and the desire to be able to have direct access to the data from being able to support this decision-making process and be able to make it as agile as possible. So in summary, let's just touch on it again. Why do we want to make data-driven decisions? We want to make sure that we increase our probability of making the right decision. We can make decisions faster and become more agile as an organization. And we can monitor the results of those decisions or the outcomes and be able to course correct as necessary. Again, David Hebert, Managing Director within ClearIQ. Thank you for joining us today. Hopefully this will get you started as you start building your data-driven decision models as an organization. Thank you and have a great day.